a lot of like rap really. There's a lot of sort of like showing off. There's a lot of talking about how much you do. There's a lot of talk about how many drugs they do, how many women they have, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And it made me think because some of these people in like now we're at an age where most of the people are similar, right? Similar
Yeah.
age to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
In these sort of like things.
In
But a lot of
drill.
them are also, I mean, yeah, sure, like drill
Okay.
grammar
Yeah.
that. But then
Yeah.
also there's like a lot of people that are older and you think, is that like what's most important to them right now? That's sort of what got me thinking about it. I was like, is that their priority at that age? And it just sort of made me, I don't know, it's a bit strange to me. It was like, surely you'd have a little bit something a little bit more personal to drive
Fulfilling.
towards. Yeah, I don't know, maybe.
I think. Yeah. I think that's a very like a valid question. Like, is their view on those topics so almost like tunnel vision because they've been brought up around those specific topics that they've never actually bothered to explore anything else, and so they're just so comfortable within their little bubble that they can't bother to like if it's like for example if it's working for them and they've gained success in terms of money, why would they change what they're doing and talking about?
Yeah, I suppose that. And also, well, I mean, I guess the lifestyle sort of like influences it, right? Is that
Yeah,
whole like rock star lifestyle? I say rock star, obviously, like it's not unique to the genre. It's just anyone who sort of gets that mainstream popularity becomes a celebrity, internet or otherwise. You're instantly sort of garnered with loads of attention, and obviously there's going to be parties, right? People are going to
yeah,
invite you, people are going to be around you, and that leads to parties eventually, one way or another. And then you end up getting drunk, or you end up taking drugs, you end up like doing all sorts, living the party lifestyle. And this obviously isn't like the only route. Like, it's not like all celebrities do this. I'm just saying that it's sort of like from the outside, it seems like something that's really easy to fall into. Obviously, like other lifestyles are very easy to fall into, like university lifestyle.
mm.
That's a very like party oriented lifestyle.
Yeah, and
You're,
pretty chilled
you, what do you mean chilled?
in terms of uh just more laid back.
Laid back for what? Laid back in what though?
You're like I'm attacking you. Nah, just like
No, no,
in
no, no. I just don't understand what you mean.
like the university lifestyle is it's just like its own little bubble compared to like the real world. Like university itself has got its own problems, and the rest of the world doesn't matter. For example, as a topical example is COVID. You could say all the university parties have been going on. They don't care about the whole world. It's just about their little world.
That's generalization. I
That's
feel
no,
like
I
that's
agree. That's
I mean,
generalization.
that's reflecting badly on the student, but I agree some people do, yeah.
I'm guilty of it as well. I'm not saying
Yeah, no, 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 no. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, you know, not all of them like that. There's
yeah,
that I think that's a problem that stems across multiple demographics, not just students. But the point I was trying to make is that students, they're sort of like you're sort of like tunneled into this lifestyle. It's not like involuntary. I'm not saying like it's involuntary, but I'm saying like it's kind of whether you like it or not, it is peer pressured. Like it's peer pressure like applied, as well as sort of like culturally applied in a way. Like there's student culture is a thing. There's the done things, the traditions, the events. Like, if you're going to university, you look at all the freshers events. How many of them involve alcohol, right? How many of them
ninety nine
involve
point
going
nine
to a
percent.
nightclub? Like,
Yeah,
all of
literally
them,
all of
mate.
them. Yeah,
That's just the way it is. So you're sort of immediately sort of pushed into that direction. So it's kind of hard to you sort of just get stuck in this routine, right? And I feel like a lot of people, like these people who are in drill, who are like all these like people who are getting popular on the internet, usually younger people, who sort of the party lifestyle is attractive, so they sort of like get dragged into it, and then you're caught up in the stream. Um, feel like some people don't really get out; they kind of get stuck in it, and they don't ever sort of expand their horizons beyond that. That's just it for them. They're happy staying like that for however long,
Hmm.
because
Well,
that's the peak. Because a lot of for a lot of people, right? People always say like, "Oh, university is the best time of your lives." They're saying because that's sort of like they're saying like because of the parties, this is the best moment of your life, right?
yeah,
So I feel like that sort of goes hand in hand with this whole party lifestyle. So it's sort of expected that you're going to have this amazing time, and then that's because of all the parties, because of all the socializing, the drinking, the drugs, and all that stuff.
yeah. In my opinion, that's a warped view, isn't it? If the pinnacle of your life is university, that's a bit.
I don't think I'm not disagreeing. Like,
Oh no, I'm
don't get me wrong. Like,
disagreeing.
so my okay,
I'm
that's
just
fine for
saying,
you.
yeah, yeah. I'm just saying. I think it links in. The reason I'm saying it is because it links in with the view of the rappers that they have. Like, there's more to life than just the party life. Like, you can have just as much fun partying as you can exploring the world. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
You shouldn't limit your view and say, oh, these next 3 years are gonna be the best of my life, because then
S-
that causes a problem later on because you're gonna be like, right, uni's over. I'm not at the peak of my life anymore. I'm depressed.
Well, yeah. So then it brings us to that first point where I said like is living life, drinking, taking drugs, and partying, is that feasible? Like, if you can sustain that lifestyle. So, for example, like let's say your income is through like a 9 to 5 job, whatever. But on the weekends, you're just partying all the weekend. You still hold up a job, but is that like a feasible life? Is that something that you could?
Nah,
Is that something that can be held up for years and years, for like decades even? And is that something that's gonna make you happy long term? And it's something that's gonna like keep you healthy long term? Probably not.
nah.
But a lot of people, that's like that's the top for a lot of people. Do you know what I mean?
Because they just don't see the bigger picture. They're just literally sort of sacrificing their long term for their short term pleasures. That's all it is. It's just a short term pleasure when there's more to life than just parties.
Yeah.
In my eyes, like, don't get me wrong, I love parties. Like, you know me, I love parties. I love
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
running parties. It's fun, but at the same time, I'd much rather I'd get just as excited buying a house or like owning a house. I'll be thinking I was sick. I'd have just as much fun going to a new country, exploring it. There's so many different things where I have the same amount of happiness attending, rather than me like living a life just for a party every weekend. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Maybe the first 2 3 times will be fun, but after that, I'd get really bored and tedious of just doing the same thing, because I know that there's a limit to what I can experience at a party. Whereas if I go to a new country, there's endless experiences I've never experienced before. New cultures, new languages,
Yeah.
new everything. So I just think it sort of frustrates me that people have that view, but it's almost like them in a way being ignorant. It's like ignorance is bliss, as they say, and it's kind of
Yeah.
true because that's the only perception of the world they have, and so they're obviously happy, chugging along in their little bubble, but not ever opening their mind and seeing, hold on, there's actually another country out there, or another 200 plus countries. They all speak different languages. Why am I just chilling in my own one?
Sounds like traveling is your biggest priority.
Yeah, 100%, bro. Because I think it's just such a good character building experience as well.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
I just think with the rappers, saying the party life, living the party life for ages, the only reason they do it is because it's what works for them. It's like you said, they say it all in their music, or hooker there, cocaine there. Like, they say all these things because their songs bang. Like, everyone listens to them still. Like, why would they change something that does work?
Yeah, but then you think about people like. So I heard the story about Drake, right? That he throws these huge parties, right, at his mansion,
Oh, it's huge house, yeah.
and so like all these people go in, but he's not at the party. He's in the studio. He hosts the party, He's got his
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
security there, got all his mates there, but so the legend goes, he sat in the studio making music. So like,
And that's a true legend right there.
but I mean, you can see, but obviously, I'm not saying Drake doesn't party. You'd assume that he partied. The amount he talked about it in his bloody song, and of course, the guy's seen like a disgusting amount of success, right?
Yeah.
So he's gonna get a lot out of that. Like, I mean, you think about the amount of events he gets invited to, like crazy.
Yeah, I
It's
can
so
imagine. Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I feel like as a celebrity, having going to a party is kind of like it's like your own birthday party, but like it's whenever you want it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you turn up, you're gonna be the center of attention. Do you know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yeah.
And then you're just having these like bursts of excitement and bursts of adrenaline and everything you want. Like all these physical desires are sort of like thrust onto you so easily. So yeah, I think to a degree it's kind of like it's just like a cycle, really.
Exactly. I guess we can never really know until we're there in their shoes, like what it's like to live in, let's say, like a class celebrity, where you just the opportunities for parties are just every day. I can imagine, or even just at a snap of a finger, you can be somewhere where you want to be. Like the
Yeah.
freedom of that, and it's probably another level. But then again, I'd feel like surely you get bored. And as you said with the Drake thing, look at that. He's even throwing parties, but he's still working. Is
Yeah,
that
I mean, obviously there's gonna be anomalies. Like I feel like
okay? Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I feel like this generally falls to the younger, newer
yeah, yeah,
celebrities. So you talk about people who are like literally come from nowhere. So you talk about like SoundCloud rappers, right? So if they've grown up poor and their only outlet was sort of music they put on SoundCloud, and then randomly they just hit that lucky number, right? And they're suddenly number one on SoundCloud, number one trending. Everyone's sharing their song. It's just that all it takes is that one song, right? So you saw it with people like Juice World.
yeah,
Just comes out of nowhere, just becomes just massive celebrity, and then you're suddenly in this spotlight, and you got all of this attention out of nowhere. You got so much to prove, you know?
yeah. No, I completely agree. I think, yeah. If we go back to the Drake example, quick, Drake is what 30 something, right? Must be like
Yeah,
35,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
obviously
something like that.
he's been through his 20s. He's probably done enough partying. He's at the point where he's probably at the point where I was saying he's experienced all the parties he wants to. Obviously he'll attend every now and then, but like his main focus is on other priorities rather than party first.
Yeah, no, no, I fully agree.
Uh,
Um,
There's a good comment in the chat if you want to read it out.
yeah, no, no, you read it, mate.
It's from Amy. It says, uni gives you a few years where you can live a life or live a, I don't know what that word means, hedonistic.
It just sort of means like indulging in like party lifestyle.
All right.
Well, kind of.
Okay, and free lifestyle. I don't think there's anything wrong with spending a few years like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be fulfilling. Same with the rock style life. Celebrity and fame isn't built to last, so enjoy it while you can. True, but why not sort of go, have these parties throughout all the years? Why do you have to like limit it to these 3 years? Why can you not sort of work a bit and then reward yourself with parties every now and then? Because then you teach yourself the work and work versus reward pleasure. Instead of having it given to you every time whenever you want it, you work for something and then you get your reward, which is the party.
But it's just like a trend of lifestyles.
Yeah,
Because
that's just
if you think about like uni as a whole, it's a pretty good opportunity because you're governing your own time. If you want to put in an assignment late, no one's gonna like say like there's no one over your shoulder saying no, you've got to do it now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You're responsible, and it's this that sort of like middle ground between being a child and being an adult where you've just come out of a place where you need to ask the toilet to go to the teacher. Fuck. What?
ask the toilet to go to the teacher, as you
Ask the
do.
teacher to go use the toilet.
Yeah,
And then you're now sort of like living with these strangers
yeah,
or on your own, depends. You're buying your own food. You're in control of everything. You can do anything you want.
yeah. It's a
And
gate.
then
Yeah, it's a
it's sort of
gateway.
like, yeah, I suppose it's kind of natural to go from that sort of like restriction of like being a child and sort of having people still in control of what you're doing to complete freedom where
Yeah,
you're like, okay, no, I'm going to do everything now. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think it's natural. It's kind of like a course into adulthood because I feel like if it was so doctored and regimed during uni that you like weren't allowed to do all those things and there were more restrictions, right? You'd have people feeling like they've not really explored and they've not really like, I mean, it sounds cliche, but like found themselves because a lot of people do it
Yeah,
at
yeah,
uni. Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
100%.
because just like being without the influence of your parent and being in a completely new place, you allow yourself to sort of thrive because you're not held down by sometimes invisible or like unknown tethers that have kept you in place when you're like living with your parents, living in your hometown where you grew up, or around some friends. Like I hate to break it to you, but like some friends aren't good for you. Some people bring you down, that kind of thing. So when you get free of that, you can actually kind of discover a whole another thing. Like you can become a whole different person, and you end up maturing a lot.
Yeah.
So I think that that's sort of like we said, the hedonistic lifestyle is kind of like a gateway to that. You know, living living in one element to an extreme, like that party element, living the party element to the extreme, you end up sort of like readjusting yourself. Because if someone came along and was like, "No, you're not allowed to party anymore," you can fucking bet that everyone will try and party.
Yeah.
But if you let them sort of run out of steam, they'll realize, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to hang over every weekend. I want to go out and do things or see things. I want
Yeah.
to try activities, pick up a
Mm.
hobby. You know, it's more complex.
Yeah. I think, yeah, you made a good point. It's almost like when you go uni, it's like letting yourself off a leash. Like, 'cause at home, whether you like it or not, I mean, obviously some parents are different, but you're restricted in terms of noise, in terms of movement. Like, your freedom is restricted at home, unless you have, a huge house and parents always on holiday or something. But like you said, the uni just gives you that sort of year or 2 or 3 years, 4 years to let loose and, like you said, discover yourself. But for me, I feel like, obviously I don't know, and I'm a little bit envious of that aspect of letting yourself go, but I just couldn't. I wouldn't be able to do that, like, personally. I just feel I'd get this guilty feeling of I should be doing more. You know what I mean? So like I can easily let myself go for like a couple of weeks max, but like the whole year I can't imagine
No, I
doing.
mean, I'm not saying that people don't do work.
No, no, no.
Students
But
do.
yeah, but first,
The
go on,
ones who don't
first
just get
year.
kicked out.
Yeah, but first
But
year
yeah, I
is
know,
probably
but
minimal.
you still have to pass it. Like
Yeah, yeah,
there's
yeah,
rules, but like I did a good amount of like partying in first year.
yeah,
Um, but I still, I met all the expectations. Handed in all the things. Didn't hand things in late.
yeah.
And I didn't just scrape by. So it's possible to do both. But like, yeah, I know what you mean. Like, especially when you get to the later points of uni, there's a lot of people. The amount of people who have gone through uni, right, and have graduated and are like out of uni for a couple of years. The amount of them that will come back to you and say, "Oh, I wish I studied more at uni." That's gonna be like quite a high number, I think.
100%.
Like a lot of people get caught up, like I said, in that whirlpool of the party lifestyle, and then they sort of lose track of why they're there and what they need, what they're doing, and then they're like, and then it's too late, and you end up getting a 2-2. I'm not saying a 2 is bad, but like if you're someone who wanted it, who needed a first, right? If you get like a 2-2, then you're like, well, now I've just like, there's all that money, all that time, and it's not like you can go and reset it.
But then this almost links in with what we're talking about the rappers, right? So you just get sucked into what's going on in your environment, and so the rappers' environment is obviously, or their lifestyle is so different. It's like an anomaly compared to a normal lifestyle. They're surrounded by parties, surrounded by. It's basically like a uni lifestyle, but I think that next level up. And by that I mean everything's just a little bit more top tier in terms of like drinks, in terms of locations, in terms of people. Everything's just that next level up, and so that's why you said it's easy for uni students to do it. So that's probably why rappers get sucked in. They get lost in the world of parties. And don't get me wrong, drugs probably do fuck with your head a little bit. I can't imagine they're healthy for your mind constantly.
No, definitely not.
Same with alcohol.
Yeah, which brings us on to another point.
Yeah, here we go.
is depending on alcohol or drugs for happiness, crutch, or I mean.
And when you say by means, what do you mean by that?
So is it just a way to get happy, right? And that's fine, or is it something that you're using to get happiness in like a, it's like kind of like either way you're using it to get happiness, but in one way it's like it's having a negative influence overall, and then it's like kind of like doesn't matter because some people obviously some people are just like happy doing drugs because that's just what brings them happiness. They have nice times with their mates and
Yeah,
whatever, and they get happiness out of it, and it's simple as that. Whereas I think that some people it's like they take it because they either need that's the only way they can feel happy, or they feel like they need to take it to be happy. And obviously those are sort of like quite negative
red flags. Yeah,
perspectives. Yeah.
I guess I get my opinion on it, or my view on it is, um, let's word it carefully. Alcohol. Um, yeah, I just think if ever I'm drinking alcohol, I'm not reliant on it. I'm not doing it because I'm sad and it makes me happy. Yes, it makes me happy, but it's not like I'm already sad and I need it to make me happy. It's just to, it's like they say, it's like the lubricant, like to loosen you up a little bit, just to like sort of relax your mind, let go a little bit, to lose, yeah, to lose control, as Medusa would say.
Inhibitions.
Yeah.
No, I'd say like lose inhibitions. Like, it's not
Lose,
like lack of control isn't inherently like a pleasant feeling, but lack of inhibition is definitely, especially as a generation that quite familiar with things like depression and anxiety, losing your inhibitions is really appealing, you know?
yeah,
The idea that all you need to do is take a few swigs of this drink and feel like the most confident person on planet Earth. Pretty crazy. And it's pretty easy to get really attached to that.
yeah, especially when you're surrounded by it constantly. I can imagine trying to be
Mm.
in an environment like that and trying to not do it is probably the hardest part of self discipline ever. That would
Yeah, I mean
be a
that's the
true
thing.
test.
I came to uni not
Yeah,
having
I was
drunk
gonna say, yeah,
alcohol in my life, and
yeah.
then I was like, when I went, I was like, all these people were like, oh, you're gonna have such a wild time. I'm like, no, I don't drink. And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, you're gonna drink, and I was like, no, no, no. I'm like, nah. I'm like, I don't need it. Trust me, it's fine. And then I go there, and then literally they like night one, all my housemates they gather in the kitchen. They're like, right, let's go to this nightclub, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I go to the nightclub sober, and it's one of the like shittiest
Worst, yeah.
experiences ever.
Yeah,
Everyone's just being a twat.
yeah,
Everyone's just
yeah.
messy. Place smells gross, man.
Oh.
It's just shit. Like the whole
Yeah,
experience is just bad. So I like go home early, and I'm kind of like, and bear in mind I hadn't been to a nightclub before either. So that was my first nightclub experience. So I was like, that was not fun. Like everyone was just either aggressive or like really sloppy or like just all over the place, just barging into you. No one has any like idea of personal space or like a self awareness. And I was like, this is not the one. And then, next night comes along, or like a couple nights later, because this is still freshers week, this is we've got no work to do, no nothing.
peak, yeah, peak party.
Yeah, massively. So then obviously like my housemates are like, oh, let's go out again. There's another freshers event. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna join. Like they're like, oh, what, really? Yeah, so I sit in the kitchen, like I sit with them when they're drinking, we chat, we laugh. I had a good time. And then off they go, and I just go to my room, man. And it's quite sad looking back, but
It's an
I just felt
experience.
I just felt like I couldn't really like I enjoyed that time with them, but because the majority of the people want to drink, want to get drunk, and want to go out and party at clubs and stuff, people who don't want to drink are the minority, and then you end up feeling like you need that drink to be involved. And
Mm,
then I felt like the biggest thing was that I felt like I was missing out on bonding with my new flatmates. I've not even known these people a week, and I feel like they knew each other so well because they'd had these experiences together where they've been drunk and having all these like funny moments whilst they were out, that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I was like, oh shit, like I'm just completely out of the loop. And then a couple nights later, they're drinking again, and I'm like, okay, fuck it, I'm just gonna try a little. Like they go out again, right? And I'm sat at home, and I'm like, I've never been drunk, so I'm like, I'm just gonna try it. So I just try like a few shots of vodka, and
Alright.
I'm like, yeah, and I was just like, I don't know, it was weird. Can't even remember what it felt like now because it feels so like no, it feels like natural now, which is sad to say, but it does. And then they got home and they're like, "What?" They're like, "Are you drunk?" Like, I'm a little bit tipsy, so I've tried it, and they're like, "What the fuck?" So next night I go out with them, and I have an amazing night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that's it. That's all it took. From there, like, drinking every weekend,
Yeah.
sometimes more often. You know, most weeks it's like twice a week. Heavy drink.
Heavy? Like blackout or
Well,
not?
yeah.
No, but like
Oh
blackout.
no no
Oh,
no
okay.
no, but like I wouldn't. Blackout is like more than heavy drink. I'm heavy drinker. I'm just talking like you get drunk, you get hungover,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
like a decent hangover. So and I think that just sort of like really rounds off the whole thing quite well because it's like I only drank because I felt like I needed to be part of it. Do you know what I mean? And it was too. It wasn't. I didn't think it would be possible for me to have the right uni experience if I wasn't drinking. That's what led me to drink.
So do you think that helped you have a fulfilling time at uni in second first year?
Yeah, it's a difficult question because I'm sort of weighing up in one hand the fulfillment of like making really good friends and having really good experiences, and going to these really like fun events. But then also on the other hand, I'm thinking, if I didn't drink, what benefits would I have had? Because I don't know. All I can think of is that I might have found I would have probably been pushed towards another way of like being involved. So like maybe I'd have joined, some societies or clubs of people that weren't so like drinking oriented. Because obviously, like most of the sports societies, you go in there, your socials, you're getting fucked up. So I probably
Mm.
would have gone into one which was a bit more relaxed. But we don't know. Thing like I don't regret it. I don't regret drinking. I can tell you
That's
that.
good. Yeah.
Like I'm happy that the experience I had is the one that I wanted.
Okay. Yeah.
So like that's all I can say really. Yeah.
That's. I mean, it sounds like without their drinking experience, though, that first drinking experience, you wouldn't even be where you are now, though, right? Like you wouldn't have had that. You said the next day you had such an amazing time.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even experience that, and it would have, the snowball effect or the butterfly effect, sorry, would have carried on.
Carried on to what?
Well, where you are now. So if that moment didn't happen, right now would be completely different. Maybe you still would have been sober completely, like as in never touched a drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like bringing back to the point you said earlier, where uni allows people to find themselves and also experience new things, and that was, I think, one of them for you. Like, and I'm sure everyone
Yeah.
has these stories.
I mean, you know me. Like I'm an advocate for like, and I think you're pretty much the same. Like trying things.
Oh, 100%.
Doing
Yeah, yeah,
having different experiences. I fully agree that even the negative experiences are important in life. If you're full of positive experiences, I feel like you just end up not learning much.
yep,
The
agreed.
negative experiences give you such like a black and white lesson. You know, you take drugs, you feel shit. You're like, okay, that's not my thing. Let's maybe move on to something different.
Yep,
Or if you try an activity and you really didn't enjoy it, it's really black and white. You're like, okay, I don't like that activity.
yep.
It's really simple, and I think it's just like a really healthy thing to do to experiment with everything.
How about this one then? What about a hangover? So if you experience a hangover, you're like, oh, I'm not drinking again. This time next week, you're on the
I
bed.
mean,
It's not black and white then, is
every
it?
every everyone's been no, but
That's
that's not
black,
true
white, and
because the
rainbow,
hangover
mate.
no, but that's not true because the whole experience of a hangover is part of the experience of drinking,
That's
and
true.
as
Yeah,
a
that's
whole, it's
true.
positive.
Yeah.
But I've there are few of the many nights that I've had. There are very few where the hangover the negativity of the hangover outweighed the positivity of the night that I had.
Yeah, I can imagine. Unless you're like vomiting all morning and afternoon.
I mean, I don't. I'm not. I don't vomit like at all.
Yeah.
So that's not a problem for me with the hangover. Obviously, I feel rough. Like I feel really nauseous and dizzy and just worn down. Like yeah, I've had some pretty rough hangovers, but most of the time I'm like, yeah, fair enough. I had a good night. If
That's
that's
good.
if
Yeah.
that's if that's the cost, I'm not so averse to it. Obviously, I know it's deeper than that because you end up like falling. You don't want to fall into like a trend of relying on alcohol for happiness or on having a
Mm.
good time, and you don't want to sort of like become an alcoholic. But at the moment, like it's just it's doable. Like we're young, we're healthy, our bodies can cope with it, and as long as you're not like overdoing it and blacking out every night, I don't think it's good, but I don't think it's bad.
It's yeah. The hangover is just a small price to pay for a good time the night before. That's all it is. It's
Yeah,
a little fee.
yeah,
It's a little fine.
essentially, yeah,
But yeah, linking back a little bit to the question of relying on alcohol and drugs, is that a crutch or a means? I yeah, like I was saying, I think if you, it's a like self accountability or just accountability in general. Sorry, it's you have to make sure that you're being accountable for what you're taking, and so by that I mean if you need to understand if you're happy or not without, and the best way to do that is be sober for a week. And are you happy? Like simple. Like, are you waking up happy without drinking? Are you or doing any sort of drug? And are you? Do you find yourself sort of craving that sort of drug? For example, for me, coffee obviously is not like a legal drug, but coffee is a drug, and I think I've noticed times where I actually am a little bit addicted to it because I've become reliant on it, and it does give me a sort of serotonin boost in the morning. Because when I wake up, I'm like, oh, you know what I crave? A morning coffee, and that
yeah,
boosts my mood instantly. So I am guilty of that. But for drinks and alcohol, I know that I'm going to the night happy, but you know what make me even happier? A little bit of bevs with my friends, because then you just, like you said, you loosen up, you get to experience more it just creates a more fun experience for everyone involved. I mean, there's
yeah.
very
And
rare occasions that it doesn't.
it just like it brings down your walls.
Yeah,
Cardio, you've
exactly.
got like no anxiety, and you end up being sort of like more open to things. Like it just sort of pushes you out of your comfort zone, but without the discomfort. Because I
Yeah,
believe going outside your comfort zone in general is a really positive thing, but it's not easy.
it's scary.
Because
Yeah, it's scary.
yeah, it's scary and it's anxiety induced. But when you're drunk, it seems like what I mean. It's a blanket. It really is. But yeah, no, I think it depends. Being a crutch or a means is really dependent. I fully believe that there are people who are using it as a crutch because there's no other way that they get happiness.
And that's a
And I
bad
think that's
thing.
that's the
Yeah,
danger of it. That's the
yeah,
danger of it. It's so hard to tell. But I think there's a lot of people who just use it as a means. It's not the only way to be happy, but it's just
yeah.
easier.
It's like I said, it just in my opinion, it links back to accountability. Like, are you actually taking accountability for your actions and noticing that? Are you happy without alcohol? If you're not, it's not an issue. As long as the first step to overcoming that is recognizing that you do have an issue, and then you
Yeah,
can find the appropriate help, whether that be friends, family, or professionals in that space, and help you
yeah,
get out of that, because that's a serious downward spiral with financial wise and health wise. That alcoholism can ruin your life, or even being addicted to drugs.
yeah.
So I
Which
think,
is a good time to bring in like, is it better to be sober?
yeah, I mean, do you want me to start this off? My opinion, or do you want to go?
Yeah, you can say it.
I was gonna say, if someone came up to me and said, would you stay sober your whole life? I'd say no. Like, I think in my opinion, that's just ridiculous. Like, why would you limit yourself to these experiences that you may be able to have? But you don't even know what they'll be with alcohol at night. Anything can happen. Like, if you've been drunk, sometimes things get wild. Whether that be with friends, randomers. Like I've had some of the craziest stories when I'm drunk with complete strangers, and I would never have had them if I was sober.
Yeah,
Never,
no,
ever,
same.
ever. Because I wouldn't even be in that situation, even in that club. And it's what sort of it almost brings those sort of experiences like you were saying before, those negative experiences. Now I know what to do and what not to do when drunk. You always learn when you're even when you're drunk, you're always learning. You don't have to be sober to learn. You know what I mean? So you can still have these negative and positive experience and learn from both of them, but majority of the time negative. I know never to mix my drinks a lot, otherwise I'll throw up and black out. Like that's a negative you avoid. But going
Yeah,
back to the question, no, I don't think. I think if you stay sober your whole life, you're missing out on a huge chunk of experiences that you'd regret if you ever tasted a bit of alcohol. Like if I got to the age of 40 and I started drinking, I'd be I'd be very disappointed in myself. I'd have that big feeling of regret because I know that in my younger years I would missed out on having fun with friends, and just like I said, having these experiences at a younger age that the
yeah,
majority of people do. And to be honest, are life changing. Like my life has changed because of not being sober.
yeah. No, I agree. I think labeling it as complete evil is it's just it's single-minded. Like it's more like of a scared attitude because obviously things things in moderation can be beneficial, and even just because things can be dangerous doesn't mean that they inherently are at every opportunity. Like you said, experiencing things is really important. I can't imagine like see I say this so there's a few things that I like in the world which are like beyond the line. So for example, like heroin, right?
Yeah.
The risks outweigh the rewards.
Mhm.
But when I was just gonna say, like, I don't want to be on my deathbed and be like, I didn't try this, I didn't do this, I don't know what it's like to be on this. Because wouldn't that be so sad? Like you only got one go at life.
Yeah.
Are you really gonna like deprive yourself of all these experiences and be sat wondering what it's like on your deathbed instead of being like, fuck, that was awful, but at least it didn't really have an impact.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And hopefully you can say that about things because you don't know, like that's part of it. But I feel like that sort of feeds into our lifestyle, like live fast, die young. People would rather have like an exciting and fulfilling life that finishes earlier than a life where they live longer but don't have such interesting like contents within their life.
I agree. Yeah, I'd much rather die at the age, let's just say, like 60, but I've lived probably like more experiences on who's lived 100. If we're comparing that, I'd much rather
Yeah,
live a fulfilling life. That's what it is. We're living
no, I
a
fully
more
agree.
fulfilled life because, in my eyes, a fulfilling life is experiencing as much of the world, experience wise, that you can, whether that be drugs or alcohol, whether that be people.
Oh,
Like, there's so many different umbrella terms that you could dive
yeah, no,
into.
I agree.
And this like
I agree.
drugs and alcohol is just one of them. But I think limiting drugs and alcohol almost is like near the top because it opens up a whole other avenue of experiences that you'd never get if you were sober.
Yeah, but there are people who, they don't need that to have those experiences. There's people who sort of like put aside anxieties and that sort of like, you know, the social norms that are expected of people, and they just sort of end up having those crazy experiences because they go out there. People who just go up to someone random on the street and, you see those YouTube channels where they're like, they just go up to someone random on the street, do you want to go skydiving?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like, there's always some people. I think just like we said, like generally people won't make have those crazy experience like take those crazy experiences or like those risks when they are sober. So I know what you mean when you say like alcohol's high up on the list,
No, but
but it's not
as
like
not high up. Sorry, not high up on the list, but high up as in terms of that will allow you to experience even more. Like
no, I know what
it,
you mean, yeah.
yeah. It's not that I value being drunk or high or whatever I want to say. I just think that in itself opens a lot more avenues than a lot of people think. Just think of the amount of times you've had an experience and then ask yourself, were you drunk or high? I think you get a quite a large proportion of yeses, like, yeah, I was. Because for some reason, like, well, we know why. It makes you feel a bit more loose, it opens you up.
Yeah, I mean,
It just puts you in positions you
it's a
wouldn't get
whole
yourself
can of
in.
worm.
Yeah, it's a whole can. But I think, yeah, you need it. In my eyes, you do need a little bit of it in some stages of your life to living fulfilling life for me.
Yeah.
Because as I don't know if there's some religions that don't drink alcohol, right? Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Um,
Islam.
is Islam and Muslim as well, right?
That's the same.
Oh God, you're outed. But either way, I think
Yeah, I'm not very good at.
I only got a B in religious education, right? But I just think, ah, to me, it'd be crazy not to have have that access to the drink. I just think it'd be such a limiting factor to my life. And like I said, I would regret if I woke up one day at like 40, 50 and I said, oh, I'm going to start drinking, but it's already too late.
Islam and Buddhism act out.
Buddhism.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think, obviously, like, there's a lot of uh like ceremonies that require alcohol, like communion,
Well, religious
Christian.
ceremonies.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there's a lot of wine.
Well, weddings are meant to be Christian, right?
I mean, yeah,
Depend. I guess it depends what wedding, but at weddings they have drinks.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think like in Passover, so in Judaism, in Passover, it says they drink cups of wine. Um, so yeah, I think that's more like cultural, like religious thing. Like they're obviously not taking the alcohol because of the lack of inhibition that it gives you. It's just more of a paying respect to tradition and
Yeah, that's a whole other
part of the
topic.
religion. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think generally religion doesn't see too favorably upon like binge drinking. I don't.
doesn't see. Yeah, I won't give my views on that. I just want to go back quickly to Amy's point because I keep reading it. It says, "Same with Rockstar Life, celebrity and fame. It isn't built to last, so enjoy it while you can." I thought that point just sticks with me because I agree. Uni doesn't last. Make the most of it, of course. But why does uni have to be the time where you have to stop, having parties and stuff?
Doesn't she just mean like you can't sustain a lifestyle where you drink and take drugs constantly because your body just gives up.
Well, because she
You
says
do even after uni if you do that, then she's saying like it's not built to last.
celebrity,
So
fame, and rockstar life isn't built to last. So I guess does she mean like you won't be, a celebrity, you won't be famous forever, and so make the
yeah, I
most of
suppose
it?
so.
Yeah, yeah, I guess. Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
What was the the final point that we wrote down as well?
There was a couple like is money
That's yeah,
is money all there is to success?
yeah,
Which kind of ties in with the other one, which is how to.
yeah. So if we okay, if we go back to the sort of the umbrella term of I was saying, a fulfilling life, you need to be a little bit drunk, a little bit high sometimes, right? Just to live that extra bit of fulfillingness for me. Then money comes into this, right? Do you need money to have a fulfilling life? And my answer to this is yes as well, because money is the tool to allow you to experience things that others may not. I'm not saying you have to have. When I say money, I don't mean like millions. I'm just talking about uh, an expendable income where you can, spend some, let's quote unquote, fun money on new things, whether that be like, let's do skydiving, for example, or, even traveling, simple one like traveling, things like that where you need money to actually go out and experience that. I think yeah, you do need money, and so yeah, without money there, how are you gonna?
But there's people that don't. Like I said to you when we first talked about this, there's people who will buy just buy a camper van, and they'll just go drive it about. Obviously, you need like a little bit of money, but they live within their means. They don't live extravagantly. They need like a small amount of money to survive, and they live mostly through the experiences that they get, right? So they get their happiness and their fulfillment through the experiences that they have whilst living the lifestyle they have. And
Yeah,
it's not to do with having like a nice house or a nice car, or having it's nothing to do with material. It's just to do with experience. Like we said, like experience is so important. And these are the kind of people who take it to another level where they're like willing to give up a lot to get those experiences, and they're willing to change their way of life quite heavily to have that experience.
yeah. I don't want to say. Actually, no. There are people like that are outliers. I mean, if you look at the 70s and 80s, people like that were classed as hippies, right? That was like the whole people that were
Yeah.
living not off the fat of the land, but off of just the non-linear lifestyle, let's say, of um buying a
You mean just
house.
like just
Yeah,
not
living.
traditional,
Yeah,
just
not traditional, like
non-traditional?
mobile living, right? Like they're living on the go, like moving around and just chilling
Sure.
in a way,
Yeah.
right? Living below their means, whatever. I don't think if we account it to an average of the world, I don't think there's enough people that live like that to account it into this equation. If you know, I'm not trying to like cut them out, obviously, but I just think that means if we're talking about them, then we can talk about the insanely 1%, which we never see, never hear about, but do whatever they want every single day,
No,
and not have a
that's not the
worry.
1%. That's like, I think you mean like a little bit higher, maybe like in 0.1%.
Nah, 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 1%. Like millionaires do what they want.
I'm sure that the 1% is actually quite like a large amount of people, no?
I say the 1% of what, like nearly 8 billion. That's like eight. Come on, 8 million, right? 8 million people. 80, 800. No, 80 million.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's a lot of people. So yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that's too much. But either way, I don't think there's 80 million millionaires. But my point
Yeah.
is,
So I know what you mean though, like the
it's
highest earners, like the multi-millionaires who don't have to worry
yeah,
about if they spill that or if they
yeah,
break
yeah.
it.
So if I'm just thinking about the average, let's just say an average person, right? Not like an outlier as such. An average person that lives in a home, that goes to a job, blah blah blah. The way they can get a fulfilling life, in my opinion, is through money as well. So you have the avenue of getting a bit high, a bit drunk sometimes. Yep, that's agreed. But you also need money to experience. You need money to experience getting high and drunk because how are you going to pay for it? But also you need money to go places. You need money to take an airplane somewhere, a boat.
Yeah, but we're not talking like when we say money, I'm not talking like, your average household income. I'm not talking like 26 grand a year, right?
Right.
I'm talking like when we say money, I mean like, I mean like money,
What, like
like a
million,
lot
like
of
seven
money.
figures, 8 figures?
Like obviously you need money. Everyone needs money to survive unless you're purely living like a nomad lifestyle, right? And you're living literally as a hunter gatherer, right?
Yeah.
Which some people do. We've talked
Yeah,
about
I
this. Some
know.
people do,
Yeah,
and
yeah. There's
that's their thing,
yeah.
and they
That's do what
thrive
they
in
want.
that. But
Yeah.
obviously, like you said, the majority of people they live within the system, they pay taxes. But when I say like money, I think we're talking about like a large amount of money. Like we're talking about like we said, 1 million a year. Not worried about like all these little things.
Okay.
A couple of houses maybe. Whereas sort of there's that kind of thing where you can, if you want something, you can buy it. Do you know what I mean? Where
You
it's
can
more
get
about
snap the
all the
finger.
material goods.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like
I'm gonna buy a car today. Done.
yeah, because I think the point I'm trying to make is that a lot of people think that that's the epitome of it, right? That's once you've got your millions, that's life done, right? You can have whatever you want. And
Right.
again,
Okay.
it brings
Yeah.
back that whole lifestyle, like the rock star celebrity lifestyle. The amount of them which, they get their first paycheck and what they should buy like a Lamborghini. Like these people aren't thinking straight, and these people are like their vision is sort of clouded by it. They're
Yeah.
clouded by the success and the glory and the fame and all the flattery. And instantly they're sort of like, shit, I want to look cool. I want to have like I want to have a Lamborghini. I want to have a Rolls Royce. I want to have a house with a pool. Whereas, that's not like a realistic way to live, is it?
Nah. No, I agree. Yeah.
And I think that as soon as you end up like relying too much on money, you end up losing losing personal value in the things you buy. So
Yep.
instead of being able to appreciate, for example, like having a takeaway, right?
Yep.
So that's nothing to you because you eat out at the highest quality Michelin star restaurants every
Novikov.
night. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you eat out at like the nicest places every night, so it doesn't really matter to you. And then I think it's your like your bar for your expectations just comes higher and higher until you're suddenly sort of like not really content. Like the person who gets everything is happy with nothing, right? But the person who gets nothing is happy with anything.
Whoa, that's deep. I like that. That's true though. Yeah, I like
Yeah, I
that.
pulled that
I
out of
like
my butt.
that.
That's come out of nowhere.
Whoa, that's good. Yeah, no, that's really true.
That seems like that's probably like a Buddhist quote, to be honest. That seems
That's
like some.
really true though.
But you know what I mean? Like your appreciation for things is respective of your situation. So if you have so much money, you're not gonna care. And I just that doesn't to me that doesn't seem like a fulfilling or a successful life because I feel like the most important thing with success is happiness. It has to be, right?
Hundred
Because
percent. 100%.
happiness is the one like the one major happiness slash love because they sort of go hand in hand. Like love brings you happiness, right?
Yep.
So a lot of people live life for love, but indirectly it's because it brings you happiness, right? So I think ultimately you could say that you live life for happiness because you want to feel happy. Yeah,
Yep.
and money isn't the way. All these material goods. It's like I said, it's the same idea as TikTok, right? So you're scrolling through and you see something funny and you get the serotonin. And then you see something funny, you get the serotonin. You do this after weeks and weeks, and suddenly you're not getting the serotonin anymore, or you need to scroll for longer to find something that gives you the serotonin. And then your attention span's dropped out the fucking floor. You can't really focus on anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing. Like, if you keep buying all these things, the next Ferrari you buy, it'll probably give you happiness for like 5 seconds. And this is a
Fantabulous.
concept I think a lot of people get familiar with quite early on. Like, you know, as a kid, you're like usually restricted as to what you can indulge in, right?
Yeah.
So your parents might say like, "Oh, look, I'm gonna buy you this toy or whatever." Or if you get like an allowance, so you get like I don't know how much you got. I remember
Well, I
how
think I
long
got
ago
like
it was.
20 quid, something like that.
I I remember no, I'm talking like quite young. Like so like when I was 8, I think I got like I don't know, maybe one or £2 a week, £1 a week or something like that.
Yeah, that's not bad.
When I was like 8 or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And you save it up. But then as soon as you started getting more money, that sort of like feeling to indulge and buy lots of things at once sort of takes over you, right?
Yeah.
And then you get that you get you that's that was so for me, I think it was I don't know what I was doing, but I think I bought like I had a few things I wanted to buy and I had the money to buy them at once. I think I was like early teenager, maybe like 13, 14.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I bought it and then the happiness I got from buying all those things at once, like I had that sort of like click, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like, awesome. But my appreciation for them was so short-winded.
It declines, right? Like
Yeah, it does.
you get the whole point is your dopamine or your whatever you want to say. I think yeah, it's your dopamine or your serotonin, one of the two. You know, it's the it's the idea. It's the suspense of getting it, and then once you get it, it plateaus and then goes down.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just think, yeah. I mean, it's like I say, if you just keep getting supercars, or if you keep getting watches, you just end up having no appreciation for it, and there's no value in it. And if you go to a guy that has like one watch, right, he'll probably value that watch more than some billionaire values his whole collection,
Oh,
because
100%, yeah.
maybe it's like, because it's got value to him because it's his one watch. If he loses that watch, he hasn't got a watch. For the billionaire, even if he has some crazy £1 million limited edition watch, if he loses it, so what? Then maybe there's someone he could probably pay like a couple more million to buy another version of, but he's also got another 50 watches, so it doesn't matter. So I just think it's all relative,
It
and I
is,
just
yeah.
think the money is not the key. It's it's like we said, it's a crutch. It should be a means, but it's a crutch for a lot of people.
Yeah, because you're saying people think that when they have a lot of money, it will solve all their problems. Like the famous saying,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which
Like,
in matter of fact, all the problems are actually inside you, not outside of you. It's all in your head.
yeah, and also that like a lot of people think that they need the money to buy happiness.
Yeah,
Like, no, you need it indirectly. So you might need money to buy you a plane ticket for a new experience. So we said, so a
yeah.
plane ticket to a new country, but you don't need money to make. You don't need just pure money to make you happy. I don't know how to describe. It's tricky. You know what I mean?
No, I said this. We talked about this before. I said you asked me, am I happy? I was like, I have a base level of happiness. Everyone should have a base level of happiness, and everything else should be a bonus to that happiness. So that plane ticket just adds on to my happiness. It's not like the sole reason why I'm happy. I'm happy in myself because I'm happy about me and what I've achieved and what I'm doing and just living. I'm happy to be alive because I have that
Yeah.
mindset. So anything I do on top of that is a bonus because I'm alive. Some people can't even walk. Like some people can't even speak.
I
You're
mean
able
that.
to.
Yeah, that's just talking to like that's just like
That's
another whole thing.
but
It's just
that's like sort of
appreciation
yeah.
or
But that's how you gain that sort
privilege.
of base level happiness. You just think if you actually deep it down and think why you should be happy. You have a roof over your head. You're like you have the basic needs of everything. Everything else should just be a bonus. The money shouldn't
Yeah.
be obviously the money can get you the wants and needs, but it's not gonna like you said, it's not gonna make you happy. Like me buying a Lambo, awesome. But for me, the process of me going to buy the Lambo and getting to that point is the journey and that will make me happy. Like the journey to getting there would be the main sort of peak of happiness. And once I
I
get
think
it,
it.
it's over.
Yeah, no, I think it's just the abuse. I think it's the abuse of money which is the problem. It's the same as anything. Like too much of anything is a bad thing. Like you just need to be able to moderate yourself. You know, like because like, it's like we said, you need money. I agree, we need money because you need money to buy that camper van that you want to go traveling. You need money to buy food to live, unless like you said, you go into like literally full on survival mode. You're a hunter gatherer. You're doing it all yourself.
Yeah,
Very rare, but
very rare.
when you have too much of it, or if you don't moderate yourself, it's just going to come back to bite you in the ass, and it's not going to make you happy. So you just sort of, it is like you say, fundamentally it's a mindset. You've got to try and make
100%.
yourself. You've got to try and like teach yourself to appreciate what you have and appreciate what you are able to get. So I'm not saying there's something inherently wrong with buying a Lamborghini, but if you want to buy a Lamborghini, you know, really take a step back and think, fuck, I'm lucky I can get a Lamborghini. Look after that Lamborghini and don't just buy another one.
Yeah.
Don't just like do stupid shit, and don't just suddenly think, oh, I'm the king of the world. I think it just gets into too many people's heads. Money is really poisonous.
Yeah,
It's really
it
toxic.
it is a mindset thing. Like you said, you gave the example of the billionaire example where their view or their mindset on materialistic items is so much different to people of everyday people
Yeah,
because of the money they have.
yeah.
We
Because their mindset and because of their
yeah. The
because of
money's
the
the money's
toxicity.
toxic. Yeah, the toxicity of the money has altered their mindset basically.
And that's why you see, like, I mean, not to get like political or anything, but I will get political. But that's why you see these top 0.1 percenters, people like Jeff Bezos. You know, how do you have so much money and yet still strive to avoid like corporation tax, stuff like that? Why do you think
That's
that's
just
just?
it's not
Like,
just. It's just the
why
business
do you
world,
need
isn't
more
it?
money? That's what
Exactly.
I mean. Like, you don't need that, but he doesn't need that money.
It's
Like, have
just
you
like
seen like
it.
the crazy amount of money he has is
I know it's
unfathomable.
it's it's you don't need that much money. You don't. You
And
really
it's
don't.
it's it's not even like greed or like malcontent at that point. It's not even a mindset problem. It's it's a deep seated characteristic problem. Like, he's not a guy who's got a bad mindset and too much money. He's a bad person
Yeah.
because it's fundamentally true, and there's no point arguing with it. Like, the capitalistic system is flawed because it allows people to hoard money, right?
Yep.
And you look at all the injustice in the world and all of the people who are struggling, you can't ever say like, oh, it's, if he finds the loophole, fair play to him. Like, no, man, no. Plug the loophole, get the money, distribute the money to the people that fucking need it.
Yeah.
Like these people, the people, the innocent people that are getting killed. No, I mean, it sounds so dumb, man. But like, obviously, like, you've got to talk about current affairs. So stuff like Palestine.
Yeah.
So these families that are getting that killed as sort of like in the crossfire
Yeah.
of war conflict. Like, where's that money could be used to help them. So it's just crazy. It's just crazy to me that those people exist, with such huge amounts of money.
And that's a whole nother topic in itself. There's so many different topics, like we said, that we can.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
billionaires.
Billionaires.
Yeah.
Just the title is billionaires.
Oh, that's a tricky one
Yeah.
though.
We got a question. Do you guys think
This
you can read out? You read out.
discontent is a good thing.
And discontent definition.
If by that you mean like
Yeah, a
unhappiness,
lack of satisfaction with one's possessions, status, or situation.
no,
So I don't think being
no, I think
lack.
it's a good thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say being
I
never
think it's good to be
satisfied.
aware. I think it's good to be aware of your
Oh,
position.
he's saying never satisfied.
Oh, right.
Ooh.
Okay. Okay.
Um.
No, no.
Well, you think
I,
it's
I, I think it's a bad thing.
you
That's what
think
we were
it's
talking about. You have to live within your means and to be appreciative of what you have. Like we said, because you don't need the millions to be happy.
yeah,
Like, the lack of satisfaction is only going to drive you to be greedier. That's what I think. I think it's good to have drive. I think it's a really valuable skill. Like, especially someone who wants. So, if, for example, if you want to be like an entrepreneur, right?
yeah,
You need drive and you need that sort of like ambition,
yeah,
but to never be satisfied is like almost like naive.
yeah.
It's almost
It's
like
it's
thinking that
dangerous.
you can get to the very, very top. Like, thinking that you can be like number one is just naive, and frankly it's sort of like a means to an end. You're never going to get there, and all you're going to
Yeah,
do is find failure. It's like the idea. So if we relate it to something that's familiar to you, Ben, it's like trading stock
yeah,
and investing in a business and seeing it go up and up and up,
yeah.
and then never ever ever taking out because you're just thinking, oh, it's just going
It's
to
gonna
keep
keep
going.
getting up. Yeah, greed. Yeah,
But eventually it crashes.
yeah. Today.
You got too greedy. You
Yeah,
got too greedy, and
yeah,
then you're
yeah.
gonna get you'll have to deal with the repercussions. So
But let
yeah,
me.
that's my opinion. You
What
go
if I
for it.
flip it on you? So I've experienced this both ways. The example you just gave, but also if you're competing in any sort of sport, or whether it's esports as well, you need that mindset, right? Because if you get satisfied where you are, let's say you're top 16, or let's say you're to make it easier to people, let's say you're playing, amateur level or semi-professional. If you're satisfied with that, you're never going to become a professional because you don't
I see what
you're
you mean.
you're satisfied with being where you are. You have to have. I completely agree with you. In life, you have to become satisfied with certain things. But for this example, if you want to be a competitor, you have to not be satisfied with where you are because you're always trying to improve and be better than you were yesterday.
Okay, let me phrase it this way. I think wanting to strive for more is a positive thing, but being satisfied with where you are along the way is necessary, because you're constantly striving for more and have no satisfaction. You're not going to be happy. Like, okay, you say like you're just going to enjoy striving for more, but I don't understand how people could enjoy that on its own. Do you know what I mean? Like independently.
Yeah,
If you're sort of like, I don't know, like if you're not appreciating what you have, how I feel like there's something missing.
you'll never get where you want. You can enjoy the process, you'll never get where you want, but you enjoy the journey. Yes, we were talking about that earlier, like saying I enjoy the journey of getting there, but at a certain point, I'm going to be, satisfied and very humble of where I am, like, and understand. Like, I'm not satisfied
That's
now, but
I feel like it's a bit of a like it's kind of like oh man, I've forgotten the word. But it's like it's countering its own argument. So like, if you're happy with the journey, right? If you're happy with just the process of striving for more, but you're not content with where you are,
they
surely
cancel
that's
each
just
other
like,
out.
yeah,
Yeah,
surely.
it's a tricky one to answer, isn't it? Because,
Yeah.
like you said, it sort of contradicts itself. Is that the word that you're looking
Mhm.
for?
Yeah, it's contradiction. I mean, I was thinking about yeah, that's a good yeah.
And I think linking on from that, definitions of success, right? In terms of life, like it's sort of, I'm pretty sure we already did a sort of podcast on the definition of success. I think I'm pretty sure we did.
Well, yeah, we don't need to go too heavy on it,
But
I
yeah,
suppose.
if we link it back to money and the drugs and a fulfilling life, is success needed for a fulfilling life? To me, yes, because success is happiness. For me, having a successful life is basically the same thing as fulfilling. Like, having a successful life means I'm happy, and it is being filled with experiences, which links in with fulfillment. Like, my life is being filled with memories, with experiences, with friendships, relationships, and
Yeah.
yeah, and money comes into it as well. But it's not the sole factor of why I'm living. I'm living for these experiences and memories, because you only, as cringe as it is, you only live once. Like, you really need to try and experience as much as you can within your mind and within your body.
My biggest fear is being content, like happy where I am. How I don't understand how your fear is being happy though.
I think he means
Like
like,
I don't. I think, but surely that I think that's just like maybe. I mean, it just sounds like you're not truly happy because happy. You're not. I don't get it. I don't get it.
it's
Being
it's
scared of
it's a
happiness.
I think it's a competitor thing. It's like you get scared of being content at where you are, like in terms of your skill, but then I guess it sort of leaks into your life as well. Do you not see? You can No, I disagree. You can be happy but not content. Yeah, content isn't being. Actually, can you wait? Because I thought content is, if you're content with your life, you're happy with it. So if you're not content, you're not happy with it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you define as the like what would you describe as content and completely up to that.
So content is a state of peaceful happiness. So yeah, wouldn't that contradict again? So you can't be happy if you're not content, because content is just peaceful happiness. It's basically using the same word, but well, a different word for the same meaning, if that makes sense. So if I'm content and if I'm happy, they both sort of mean the same thing. No?
I thought so, but yeah, I don't know.
But I can see where Jack's coming from a little bit.
Yeah, no, I see as well. Like,
But like I said, I think it links to the competitor mindset. You can't be content where you are skill wise. But why can't I not content? I think you're just saying, but be happy that I'm not.
why can't I be not? Why can't I not be content, but be?
Why why can I not be does that no, I'm being
I
confused as
mean,
well.
I think it's just confusing because they're pretty much like
This
synonyms.
yeah,
Like content and happy is
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
much like there's very little wiggle room in terms of the definition. If you think, I don't know, maybe he's just thinking about something else.
But yeah, if we link it back to the whole big umbrella again of how do you define a fulfilling life? If I ask you that question, what would your answer be?
If I had to like sum it up really succinctly, I'd say no regret.
No regret.
Like dying with no regret.
Yeah.
I think dying with regret is probably one of the worst. Like that scares me.
And
That's
okay,
the only thing that's like one of the only things that makes me like really push
okay.
myself out of my comfort zone.
And then I got some subsequent questions on from that. Right? Do you think alcohol/drugs helps you not die of regret?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it might not necessarily help, but I think it's a necessary byproduct.
Well, yeah. That's just the same. It helps. Yeah.
No, it's not. Like sometimes it doesn't help, but it's something that needs to happen for the happiness for the regret to not exist.
Okay. But then what
Like
about? Well, sorry, Karen.
no, no,
I was gonna say, do you think you need money?
you need money.
But do you
I
need
think
money
I
to?
think I need money. I think I need money, but I don't need extortionate amounts of money. Like I could be happy with like I don't know maybe like a slightly up because the average wage is like what now like 20 is it I don't know if
Well, in
it's
the UK,
yeah
no idea.
salary
Sorry, let me just read this out while you look.
average UK wage for a full-time role was 36 grand, part-time was 12.
Nah, there's no way it's
No,
36. There's no way it's that
that
high.
seems quite high.
It's under 30. It's under 30. It's like
Well, I mean, it's going
26.
to be an average of the two.
No way.
Average
Um,
income. Yeah.
um, he said, like you're happy and enjoy not being where you are at that point, but you enjoy always trying to better yourself. Like you're happy and enjoy not being where you are at that point, and you enjoy always trying to better yourself. Why am I struggling to? Am I having like a sort of brain cloud?
I mean, I'm kind of struggling.
Like you're happy and enjoy not being where you are at that point.
I understand always enjoy always trying to better yourself. Like that's pretty
Yeah,
straightforward.
I believe in that as well. I always try and better myself. But
Yeah, if you don't see improvements in yourself, then you'll just sort of stagnate and you'll become
for
pretty fed
example,
up.
like gym, like health, like
Oh,
I'm
100%,
like
yeah.
that's obviously a big one. You could link it to financial means as well. But I don't think maybe you can link it to happiness. Can you? I guess you can always improve your happiness,
Yeah.
right? Right? You can always find. I don't. Maybe you can't. I can't use the word always. You can. I think it comes to a point in life where your happiness, you're just so like happy with life that you can't even go higher without like your base level of happiness hits a point. You know what I mean? And so once it hits that point, you need other objects or other things like money and like drugs, alcohol to boost that even higher. I think your base level of happiness it can only be 100%, and then anything after that is obviously added on with other
I
things.
don't necessarily think that if you're at 100%, then alcohol or drugs will help you.
Okay, maybe 100% is a bad one, but I don't think. I don't know. It's hard to say because, like I was saying earlier, I'm happy right now. But if I drank some alcohol and went out with some friends, I'd be even happier. So how
Yeah,
do
but you're
I?
not at 100%,
So
are
that's
you?
okay. So I'm not 100%. Let's say 80% then.
Sure,
For
maybe.
all right. Oh,
There's
maybe.
maybe you don't know.
Yeah.
Like that,
Okay.
it's all
Percentage.
sort of circumstantial, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Percentages are a bad idea then. But you get my point.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like I agree that drugs, alcohol, that kind of stuff, it can make you happy. We agree on that, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to take you above and beyond what you can achieve without it.
So you don't think? So you
Like
think?
I fully believe that people can achieve like because there's happiness is not like a measurable thing. You can't
Yeah.
say I'm 100% happiness. You don't know. It's not how it works. So, but I agree that someone could probably be the happiest that they've ever felt without any use of alcohol or drugs. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So there is no base level. So I want to be 80% or 80, and still trying to do more and more of, and to be more of a person. So he's saying there's similar to what you're saying. Then there's no base level. He's always trying to improve his base level as it's infinite. He's always trying to improve his happiness. And now I'm just getting in a tongue twister because I feel like we're just going round and round in circles.
Yeah, it's just messing with my head.
We agree to disagree. Like I get what you're saying, Jack, but at the same time, it's still at the same time it's a little bit confusing because I feel like discontent and being happy just cancel each other out. I kind of get what you're saying, and I kind of don't. Uh, yeah. I watched that recently the other day. I linked it to Finn as well. Actually, not the other day. It's like the other month.
I understand the concept of like not being like not settling, right? Not settling where you are.
Yeah.
Like being happy that you are where you are, but not settling for it. I think that might be what you're trying to say is that you're not gonna like stay there and try and
Yeah.
maintain that. You just want to keep going higher, which I understand. I think that's good.
He's not settling
I don't,
for. Basically says he wants to be the better person he was yesterday.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good. Obviously, I think everyone should try and do that.
Okay. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that. Is that discontent though? Probably.
No,
Probably not. No.
absolutely not.
Right.
If you're like satisfied with where you are, but not like no, not satisfied. Sorry, like you're you acknowledge that you're proud of where you are. You're not like gonna stop
Yeah.
at the same.
Like you
Yeah,
can
that's
you
not
recognize where
discontent.
you are,
I
and
think
you're
it's
proud,
discontent.
but you're not
I just
discontent.
think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's just ambition. Just being
High,
ambitious.
like you said, high drive, like a big drive to improve
Yeah,
as a human.
yeah.
I like that. But if we link it
Mm.
back fully to the start again, just one more time. So, how do you define a fulfilling life? And it all stemmed from listening to the drill. Do
Mm.
you think those? Do you think those rappers? We don't know yet, but do you think those rappers will hit an age and then they'll just completely stop? Like for example, we've seen Drake. He still goes to parties and stuff, but do you think there's an age? Do you think it's like an age thing where they hit an age and they sort of say, "Oh, what's the point of this?" and they stop? Or do you think that whole lifestyle has just consumed them and it's an
I don't
endless
think
cycle?
necessarily. You see, I think you see some artists. So there's like more mature artists in the field. Like I feel like people like so if you think about someone like Gigs, right?
Yep.
Been in the grime game for like a long time. I feel like nowadays he's a lot more appreciative of the art and that what that means to him. Like obviously it means a lot to him, otherwise he wouldn't still be in the game.
Yeah.
But I just like from what you can tell, like he's just less about that party lifestyle now and more about other things. He just places value in other things. If you look at a lot of his like newer songs or whatever, or like stuff like the talks, like interviews or whatever, I feel like just yeah, and I think that's true with a lot of other people as well. You can come out of the lifestyle the other side and like completely change your perspective. Like, I don't think they're gonna just give up the whole thing, but they might give up the party lifestyle. It might be like I think there's a point, it's like uni. You get to the end of it, you're like, okay, that was fun, but now it's time to get serious. I think the same thing would happen.
It's almost like maturity. Like you get.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. You're going for it's that passage between like being a teenager and being an adult. You come out the other side and you're like fully got.
Yeah. But at the same time, you said so. You gave us an example of gigs. Gigs isn't he over 30 as well?
Yeah.
So it's almost like it is. There must be an age thing, right?
Well, yeah, no, of course it is.
Okay. But then
You
do
know, with age, generally the general trend, because there's outliers, but generally with age comes maturity.
so do you think that is it the maturity that stops that party life? Is it literally
Yeah,
just becoming mature and you're
yeah,
like, right, what's the point of this?
yeah.
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 Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how it would be anything else. Like it's the same thing coming out of uni. You're
No, I
like,
think you're right. Yeah, I think it is
you know,
maturity. Yeah.
it's not feasible to do this. I need to get a job. I need an income. I need a place. Maturity. It's just sort of like realizing that you can't sort of mess around and do what you want all the time. That's the whole point. I think that's maturity in a nutshell. Taking responsibility.
Yeah, it's the best word. Taking responsibility of your life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and being responsible for yourself
Yep.
entirely. Yeah, instead of just depending on someone else. Like, because there's still students, there's still people who need to get there. But I know people who go through weeks and weeks and party, spend X amount on drink, come home, order new shoes, whatever. You know what I mean? Like people they're just buying all this shit, even though they're a student, and then they've still not sort of like quite clicked with it because they go back to mum and dad and they ask for more money.
Mm.
And like, and I'm not trying to like get on my high horse.
No, no,
I'm just
no.
trying to
But
I'm just trying to give an example.
yeah,
But like personally, that sort of thing would like now. That's something I feel like I've matured a lot as a person over the last couple of years, especially.
yeah.
Like in first year, I think I was still quite immature, but second, like, especially now, like coming towards the end of my third year of uni, I think it's just sort of like,
Hit you a little bit.
yeah, like I would never sort of do that kind of thing because I'm like,
I
nah,
completely.
I
Yeah,
want to
yeah. I
be
agree.
responsible for I want to be responsible for my own mistakes. You want to own your own mistake, and
Accountability. Yeah.
I'd rather make a mistake and sort of like put my hands up and deal with it myself than be like, okay, let's go back to mum and dad and try and get some help and just get bailed out of it and learn nothing from it.
Yeah. I mean, you learn that mum and dad are
That's
still there.
that's the that's the thing. I think that's just the important aspect because obviously your parents are kind of like your main link of people to rely on.
Yeah.
And then obviously if you're becoming mature, you're relying on yourself and you're becoming self-sufficient and being responsible for yourself. So you kind of got to like cut them off in a way.
It's like the bird leaving the nest. Like,
Exactly, but like first, that there's people that are still really dependent. I know so many people that are still so dependent, and I don't. Honestly, to me, right now, like now, like in first year, I would understand it because I would still get like homesick and stuff or whatever. Like I made myself not go home like too much or too early because I was like, nah, come on, this is all part of it, and I'm glad I did because now I can't imagine it like being so dependent on it, and I'm glad I'm not because I think it's a crutch.
yep.
I think it's good to be close to your family,
Yeah.
but I think that you need to sort of like, we're 21 now,
Yeah. Yeah.
you need to get a grip.
Yeah.
Not get a
Bro.
grip.
Oh shit. No, no.
That's
I know.
harsh.
I agree
That's
though.
too harsh.
No, but I agree.
No, no, no.
Like.
I don't mean get a grip though. That's too harsh. I mean, you need to just like, you just need to like, be responsible, take take control of your own life, take things into your own hands, and do what you want, but take responsibility for it and face the repercussions if there are any.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think, and I think that I just think it's unhealthy to rely on other people, not even your parents, anyone. Like relying on friends for key decisions, it will end up hurting you in the long run because then you'll start doubting yourself, and if you make these errors early on, you can learn from them, and they have less of like an impact on your life. So like now, bad decisions in uni, they have less of an impact. But if you make bad decisions when you're like 27, 26, 27, and you're in the middle of the job market, that can really come around to bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
So if you like if you stop relying on others and you start relying on yourself now, I think you can grow a lot stronger a lot earlier.
100%. Yeah.
and that is the way to a fulfilling life. I think there's nothing better than looking back and seeing like it's like that idea of artists, like the feeling of painting something yourself completely from scratch, finishing it and being like, look what I've done.
Yeah, yeah.
Being able to do that but with life decisions and with experiences is really fulfilling.
Fair
And
point.
I think maturity is a key to that. So yeah.
That's well said, bro. That's well said. I think you summed that up nicely. I think just from my experience, I agree. I think that I'd say I'm quite mature. Obviously, I'm still living at home, but at the same time, I think it's extremely hard to move out of my house or our house in my area, anyways. Obviously, I could move somewhere else, but it wouldn't make sense financially and also job wise and family wise. Wouldn't make sense right now to just move somewhere until I'm a little bit more in a financially better space. But I don't rely on my parents for anything but a house over my head. I pay for everything. I give them money. I don't ask for any money. I do my own stuff over here. I do my own expenses. I do all that. The only thing I'm reliant on is at least is food and house, as in terms of like cooking. Like I cook sometimes, but if they're cooking dinner, I'm gonna be served dinner as well. It's a bit rude if I'm not.
Yeah. No, I get
But
that.
I think you're right. That's like the best way to describe a fulfilling life. You're not dependent on anyone else but yourself. You're fulfilled in
You
terms of
you
that.
bring yourself your own
Yeah,
satisfaction.
exactly. Yeah,
Just enjoy the fruits of your own labor.
that's the
Because
best word. Yeah,
if you're piggy, there's no worse feeling than completing a massive completing a massive project, but knowing that you only got there because of someone else.
I can't do that.
Feels
I
like
couldn't do that.
I know it hurts.
That would
It
that would
hurts. It
sting.
feels like you cheat yourself.
Yeah, it's
I've
literally
done it before.
cheating.
It's a mistake I've made before,
I've made
and
that as well. Yeah, of course.
I think everyone has.
You learn
And
from it.
I'm sure we both will still make that mistake,
Oh,
but
yeah,
it's it's easy to do, and it stings, and it's a really good lesson.
yeah. I mean, it's only a good lesson if you learn from it. If you keep making the
Yeah.
same mistake, it's not really a lesson. It's you
Yeah.
just
No.
making a
No.
mistake.
I agree. Yep.
So people out there gotta live a fulfilling life. Use those mistakes as lessons. Don't don't
You
keep
don't
make.
have to live. You can do whatever the fuck you want,
Yeah,
but
it's
if you
true.
want, if
Not
if
life
you want to
advice.
live a fulfilling life, you know, I don't know, maybe taking responsibility is a good step. But who are we to say?
That's true. We're still pretty young.
This is literally subjective as fuck. So do what you want.
I think it's subjective as fuck to a little point or to a point. I still think there is some
Yeah.
base
No. No. I
level
agree. Yeah. 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 I
fulfillingness,
also agree.
but maybe that's
Yep.
just a Western world. We don't know about other cultures.
For sure. Yeah. It would differ a lot.
Right, I'm happy with that one.
Mm.
You got anything else to say?
Nah, I'm very happy, very content. Yeah. I've
Oh,
said all I need.
you're not discontent, are you?
No.
Okay.